one of the best outfielders over the last 10 years, however many years. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you would work on? I feel like, from my time playing outfield, I feel like it's pretty natural. Like you see guys that just go their whole career and they're just not good outfielders. Like what are you working on day to day? What do you think was the biggest separator for you that made you so good in the outfield?
My best teaching advice for outfield defense is take batting practice seriously. And that's something I started doing in junior college because I went to JUCO as a shortstop, and I was always like a natural outfielder, but I wanted to be where all the action was. I wanted to play infield. And then that fall, like 2 months into my college career, I asked my coach, I said, can I go play center field? And randomly had like a exhibition or a fall game or some other team and made a couple diving catches, threw a couple guys out. My coach was like, hey, get ready, you're infield.
You're not a shortstop anymore.
Not a shortstop anymore. So ever since then, like I was like, all right, I feel like if I can just get used to everything out here and just be an athlete out here, this is where I can get better. So JUCO was where I first realized, like, okay, batting practice, just training your eyes for depth perception, all that translates into the games, because I would take that serious and I would just tell the pitchers, I'm like, move out the way. You guys are trying to shag too. I'm shagging because I'm trying to be our center fielder my freshman year. And then I carried that throughout my whole pro career, and it made me so much better. And I just made up so many different scenarios or game situations where I would play normal, and then after I got all my reads and rundown balls, I would play super shallow and wait for balls over my head, and I would try simulating that ball where I would have to like catch it over the head running back, just doing everything like that. But once again, there's so many things that come into it, but for me, I was like, if I can sit here and just train my eyes to get depth perception down and get the best jumps and the right reads from the get-go, then all I have to do from that point is just see the ball, catch the ball, and go get it. And there's a lot more that goes into that. But I realized that at an early age, when I got to drafted in 2010, I realized that I knew I needed to hit more, but I was like, man, I feel like I'm the best defender of everyone here by far. And then, and I'm sure we'll get more into this as we talk and all that, but I wanted to be the best. I was like, man, I feel like I have a legit shot of being the best outfielder defensively in baseball. After what I watched guys do in the big leagues, there's a lot of good guys, but I'm like, I think I can run and throw and do all these crazy things with these guys. And, had a really good career in the big leagues, and defensive reputation speaks for itself. But I had like some of my best seasons in the minor leagues, and I started getting that confidence very early on from a defensive standpoint. I'm like, I'm better than everyone in the big leagues right now. And I'm like, okay, now I just got to hit enough so I get a chance and show everybody what I can do.
I think there's something to be said for knowing what makes you good too, right? Like you said, you recognized early in the minor leagues that it was a differentiator for you, that you could do it better than anybody else, and taking that and running with it instead of trying to make yourself something you're not, try to turn yourself into a 40 home run guy or whatever it might be. Like, do what you do well.
Try to have as many tools as you can, but for me, I knew like my defense, speed, and my arm were different than most guys, and to have all three of those, it spoke for itself for what I was able to do out there. And I felt like at an early age coming up through the minors, I'm like, I feel like you have to do 3 or 4 things really, really good in order to make it, whether you're a pitcher, but especially from a position player. If the guys were coming back the same player every year and they needed things to work on, you would see those guys getting released. So for me, I was like, look, I'm not going to have a weakness going to my left, my right, in, back. I wanted to do everything. When I got drafted, I just became obsessed with working on my craft, and that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, having my brothers roll balls to me in the snow and just working on my footwork and always keeping my arm in shape and wanting to sprint and be faster. And those are the things why, standing here today, retired now, I know early on, like I said, when I got drafted, I said, I'm going to do everything I can to be the absolute best. I want to be the best ever, and I worked for it. So, I know I missed a lot of time, but I know for the time I was out in the field, I know my numbers and everything are up there with the all-time greats, and I'm proud of that, and wish I wouldn't have got hurt and all these other things along the way, but I went about the best I could, and I took it serious. Every inning I was out there, for every inning of my big league career, I was ready for every pitch, and I always said I was going to do that from the get-go, and I stuck with it throughout the whole time, and I'm proud to keep that mental focus and locked in, especially defensive side of the ball. I tried doing it offensively too, but defense, it was just way easier.
I think that's that attention to detail, though. You know, pregame preparation, taking live reads off of BP and stuff. Most guys come to the Trop and they don't want any part of going out there and getting reads because they're scared they're going to embarrass themselves and stuff. But I guess knowing you had to play, 81 games there a year, you had to embrace it, right?
I was trying to catch a dirty white ball on a dirty white roof for years, and for me, I just always wanted to be prepared. I never want to have that feeling like you're not prepared going into a game or something like that. So for me, I was always just trying to stay locked in as much as I could, and I wanted to set an example for other guys to come out and shag and get your bodies ready and listen to your body. And I realized as my career went on, I couldn't always shag every day. And I played on turf my whole career, so my body was beat up for it. But, the pitchers appreciate the way you go about your business out there. If you're trying to make plays and put your body on the line, I just feel like it created way more opportunity for me. If I was one of those guys like trying to look swaggy or cool, I feel like I would have been out the game long ago. But if you play the game the right way and keep your head down and play hard, you get a lot more opportunities and maybe what you deserve, I guess you could say. And that's what I made my game off of.
You think there's something to be said about how good the pitching is in the game right now? Like it means more to focus on the defense side of things because it's so hard to hit. Like if you can separate yourself on the defensive side of things, you give yourself a shot right now.
You got to hit. There's no doubt about it. But with how good pitching is now, more than ever, it's just every year, just guys are throwing harder and getting nastier, spinning the ball more. Taking away runs is more valuable now than ever, just with the trend, the way the pitchers are. They're messing everytive up.
Teams only get so many opportunities to score, right? So if you can take one of those opportunities away.
So I'm one of those guys where there's always like new defensive metrics every year, and I need every stat or thing possible to keep me around. And I knew that early on. But if you can go out there and make a difference, and those guys always find themselves on the field. And like I said, for me, like I've been a league average bat my whole career, but I made 10 starting opening day starts in the AL East for 10 years in a row, and I'm super proud of that. And it's just one of those things. If you go about the right way and do enough here, you'd be amazed at the opportunities you get. So that's why I always tell the young guys, I'm like, man, if you guys come out here and just think that you're not about to play defense or you think you're going to hit enough, I promise you will be a defensive. If you have a lead in the 7th inning every night, you're out of the games. And I never wanted to do that. I know guys get really upset when they come out, but defense matters now more than ever because of how nasty these guys are day in, day out.
I think that's cool to hear. Platinum gloves, gold gloves, and live reads during BP is what he said is the biggest difference maker.
I'd be interested in all the reps you've taken. Obviously, the ball comes off the bat differently in the big leagues, but within the big leagues, are there certain dudes the ball comes off the bat differently for them where you're in the outfield like, shit, man, I got a bad read on that. Like, the ball came off different. Who are those guys?
It'll happen. Judge, he's definitely the first guy that comes to mind. Ketel Marte's hit me a couple balls that I couldn't believe the backspin on those. But Judge, he I know I've misread a couple of those because I think I'm going to go in because he's not hitting it well, but there's certain guys that just have that, just know how to backspin the ball, and it's crazy. Them line drives that hit right at you. I've had balls where I'm standing like normal depth, and I see what the ball is doing, and Ketel Marte was the one where it happened, where I was waiting to see if it was going to sink or go up. And I'm telling you, I was 300 and some feet away, and this thing kept going, and I went and jumped for it, and I missed it, and he got a triple out of it. But there's some guys who can do some crazy things with the bat and the ball. It's different where you're like, boy, I haven't seen backspin or like that before. But
those are toughest to read, right? The backspin, the ones where.
And once again, some guys just have that ability to do that, and that's why all these guys hit all these homers and all that. And I'm like, boy, I don't feel like line drives come off my bat like that. But it's all good.
You want to do a little robbery demo?
Yeah.
We've never tried this before, but you've robbed enough homers.
See if I can.
I'll see.
Let's move this out of the way.
Get you a little league glove.
No, give him one of your gloves.
For me, I always try to get to the wall as quick as I can, and whenever I get in this area, I like to have that internal clock where I know how to time up my jump. And I played the Trop for years, and No warning track ever. No warning track my whole career. Blue Jays never had one. I mean, it's green turf like this, and then it turns into this as the warning track. So a lot of guys are like counting their steps on the warning track, and I'm like, man, I swear, if you make a play like in the 8th inning in Boston or New York, and the fans are going crazy, you cannot feel your cleats hitting that warning track. So guys are always in BP counting their steps. And I did it in the minor leagues, and I'm like, I've learned that if I just develop this clock, internal clock where the wall's at, I'm going to give myself the best possible chance of catching this. So I would just always just mess around in the off seasons and timing my jumps and doing everything, getting the footwork right. But what it comes down to is you have to be able to sprint. And for me, when I get to this point in this area, I'm gathering myself, and I'm always trying to jump up and over. You see a lot of guys like kind of like jump directly into the wall, and these dudes are out for weeks because these walls are undefeated. So for me, I've hit my fair share out of control a few times, but for the majority, I was really good at finding a way to gather myself and jump up and like into the wall where the ball would give and kind of throw me off a little bit, rather than being full speed, hitting the wall and going. I was always ready for contact because, once again, this internal clock, I knew I was going to get it, and I was just trying to do whatever to make the play once it gets to this point where I'm gathering. But there's a lot of things that go into it. But if we're going to try this,
It's amazing.
It's one of those things where it all depends. I mean, this direction, if we're doing this, if we're going here, you got to use your hand like as a guide or a reference. But with this way, once again, it's just guiding it. And a lot of times guys are sitting here scared about the wall, and they jump too early and all that. And I've done that plenty of times in my career, not because I was scared, I just mistimed it. But you have to find a way to be under control. We get like our max jump, and if that ball is at like that perfect angle that we dream of, you want to come down and make the play. So, you want to try one?
Yeah, we'll get one going.
All right, and just try to get it up here. Legs are a little,
All right, we're going
shaky, and I don't want to. I'm not about
There's
to.
not much give there.
These little things are a little sharp, so this is going to be very, very half effort. We'll try to get there, but we'll time it. That's okay. But it's tough. It's tough because you sit here and you do it in a small sample size and all that. But you need like a good spring training field with a nice padded wall. And
there we go.
We're still catching it.
Yeah, we don't want to get the Platinum Glove Winner.
If we can get outside one day, I'll give you guys a much better tutorial.
We'll schedule the next episode outside.
But the most important thing of all of it, for all the outfielders out there, young dudes, develop that internal clock. Like, practice just jumping on a padded wall if you have one in your house or outside, doesn't matter. If you sit here and just do it over and over, I promise when you're shagging BP and you're out there, you're like, man, this feels good now and I can do it.
So you think it's worth it to practice stuff like this?
Yeah. I practice in BP. I know the home run hitters, so there'd be times where I'm kind of waiting back.
Yeah.
Even the ones where I didn't catch, it was like, okay, that was a good rep because I timed it up and it was just out of my reach. But always trying to do stuff like that every day.
It's the price of admission on the Casa De Klub.